Hey, John, you know what I hate?
What's that?
I hate Batman.
Call and majesty, one piece in coordination, I do so alright.
See, this is how we'd start each episode.
Oh, I see.
See what I did there? So it's like a way to set up the premise of the show in the first line, like it's optimized for like web. It's like it's
So in the first 5 seconds.
But
so we're done here. We can stop doing this.
Well, now we can stop with the setup, sort of.
Oh.
Except we haven't really explained anything. But I feel like this is search engine optimized. This is SEO. This is 21st century. I feel like we're really getting the mission statement out in the first paragraph.
This is all the dirty words that are written lightly against the background of the website.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, this is exactly what that is. And every week we're going to start that way. John, explain to the audience what this show is, because I'm already talking too much.
The show is us talking about movies, mainly, I would think, that we don't care for that much. Not always hate, but stuff that maybe you liked at one time doesn't hold up as much anymore.
Yeah. Basically, it's two curmudgeons watching stuff. Sometimes, and I'm going to probably wager often, terrible things that it's going to be fun to make fun of.
Right.
And other times things that we believe, or at least one of us believe, is well overrated or frankly shit, which tonight's movie is of that category. Though I wouldn't say shit, I would say very overrated. Okay, so tonight we're doing Batman Begins?
Batman Begins.
All right. Christopher Nolan, the director and writer?
Writer, along with David S. Goyer.
Okay. Now, David S. Goyer sounds familiar to me. What is he always with Nolan?
David S. Goyer wrote the Blade trilogy, the Batman movies, and Dark City, which I actually really enjoyed.
Oh, I like Dark City. That makes me sad. I think he was a TV guy too, right?
Yeah, he did. He's done a lot of TV stuff, and he did the Call of Duty Black Ops video game, famous for its story,
Duty,
for its calling and its duty.
Yeah.
And Dollman versus Demonic Toys.
Oh, good. The best in the Dollman and Demonic Toys series.
Those are just characters by. He's uncredited because you don't want to.
Okay. Yeah. Characters by.
Yep.
Oh, I wonder if they use characters of something else he invented.
Demonic Toys.
Oh, that he
Dollman.
invented.
They threw Dollman in there, and he was like, "I'm walking."
Oh, okay.
There's no way.
So, Batman Begins. What do you think, John?
Well, I don't know that I would go so far as to say that I hated it, but it is not. I didn't love it.
John, it's the first fucking episode. Can you stick on theme?
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I don't hate this more. I don't like
Alexx are that stuff
are not moved by whatever is in front of them
or meh at stuff.
Yeah, I mean it's not great. So when this movie came out, everyone was very excited about this because this was the end of the Schumacher run, the end of the Dayglow awful Batman.
Oh, I forgot that was pretty close.
Yeah,
to
like
these
I've
two.
never even seen Batman and Robin, the George Clooney one. Did not even bother. So the people consider the franchise largely kind of dead, and it's also the dark superhero movie for this current generation. That's why anything DC Comics makes now is terrible and dark and grim and awful because that's serious and adult, I guess.
Well, that predates this. I mean, that was the.
But I would say this current spate of movies.
Oh, did they go even darker? Because
Well, I'd say because the subsequent movies, particularly The Dark Knight and how successful that was. Apparently, DC Comics just went like, "Oh, well, that is what we have to do."
I didn't realize they even darkened it after that.
Well, that's why we're going to make Superman this picture of hope. We're going to make him grim and dark and crummy and.
Oh yeah, I forgot they did ruin Superman. Yeah, because they went pretty dark, kind of starting in like the 80s or 90s. But yeah.
Yeah, I mean the comics themselves.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the movies. I mean, because the Tim Burton ones were dark, but they weren't the same kind of like.
Yeah, it wasn't dark, gritty, realistic.
Right,
realistic in heavy quotes. Yeah.
Right, that sort of the solemn, sort of the Christopher Nolan style of just this like somber, droney kind of. Well, not droney, which we can talk about Hans Zimmer being the most boring film music there is anymore.
I was thinking about that while the movie was going on, of how entirely it seemed like the score was bored of the film.
Yeah,
like it was just really just putting through the paces. It's like, if you ever seen those movies that like the guys that who's the guy that did Star Wars, John Williams. You know those space battles, you know, like the other series, Space Battles, or
Right.
like where it's like, so it's they've got ersatz John Williams.
Yeah.
That's what this all sounded like, where it's like this guy's just trying to be like, I guess this is supposed to be the dramatic part, so
Well,
all right, throw in the oboe.
Yeah, it's a little kind of hard to sort of contextualize now because so much music sounds like that. There's this great YouTube video, Every Frame of Painting, where he talks about that, like how all the movies in the Marvel Cinematic Universe have such unforgettable music. Because all these people are using temporary tracks, putting in music from like, oh, I like the soundtrack for this movie. Like Inception, for example, which is another Hans Zimmer jam. Put that in, and then they like the way that sounds. And so they'll try to compose something kind of like that. And so it all just becomes this very similar sounding stuff. That's why everything just sounds like that. Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
And so that in this one is very much the case. It is just kind of that, like, here's this music again.
Well, it's very much, and this is kind of at the end of my notes on the film, but like this is a good spot to bring it up. It sounds like video game music, and a tremendous amount of this movie, the dialogue was just directly from video games. So the offenders where I got so entirely tired of it that I started to have to write it down was well towards the end of the film. The fat guy that's in like the water main place.
Oh yeah, that guy's the best character.
So the water main is directly under the Narrows. The train heading directly to the water mains. If it gets there, the whole city will blow up.
Right.
It is literally beat, beat, beat. Okay, now you got to walk down there. Let's go down this hallway. And it is horrific. Then it cuts over to Christian Bale and the worst American accent in the universe with Gary Oldman. Not the worst, but oh boy, his accent is all over the place. They have that same thing of going like, all right, well, I'm going to have to go in here and drive down to here, and I hope my health bar doesn't go down.
Right. It is sort of, Christopher Nolan loves to explain things. He absolutely loves to explain things in his movies. And there's there's so much of this. And so, all right. So we all know the plot, which the movie, well,
no, I'm
most
not kidding.
people-
I literally don't know what happened in this movie.
The plot of Batman, the idea of Batman.
Okay, yeah. I got what happened to Batman.
Which they
That's the
spend
one thing I
lot
understood.
they spend a lot of time
Yeah.
getting at, which I'll get to that in a second. But so basically it's Batman. He's a kid. His parents get killed. Then he runs away to China and then comes back and becomes Batman. Begins, if you will. And so in doing that, there's a lot of what Christopher Nolan seems to like a lot, which is exposition. And that was a particularly egregious thing where at the end of the movie, the bad guy's plot is in motion. Action things are happening. What is at stake has been said, has been established. And during the big train chase at the end, this cuts to this random old man who just tells you again, just to be sure.
Yeah, well, I mean, I agree with you, but I don't know that I knew what was happening. I knew that bad guys were gonna go do bad.
All right. Well, we'll get to that. So let's kind of go through the thing.
Okay,
so it starts with him in a Chinese prison, and he beats up a lot of other prisoners, something like that, which he's learned to do somehow. In that scene where he's fighting the criminals is one of those fight scenes where you have no idea what's going on.
Oh yeah, we're in the mud in that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
And then so you're getting this flashback. You're getting like flashbacks within flashbacks.
Yeah.
Within that, so you're kind of seeing his parents getting shot and him feeling bad about it. And then he goes to train with the worst set of assassins, the League of Shadows. And in doing that, they say the word, in all this preamble, they say the word fear about 40,000 times. Because that is the theme of the movie. And again, something Christopher Nolan likes to do is to like, look, this is the overall theme of the movie, so I'm just going to say that I'm going to pepper that in all over the place. And
I didn't notice that because I thought it was really subtle.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like the velvet they put over the hammer really dulled the blows.
Yeah.
As it smashed me over the fucking head with the word theme carved at the side.
Well, and then they'll do stuff like that too, like, again, with this old man thing. The back-to-back scenes of him with Carmine and Rachel. Carmine is the evil mob boss that's currently running Gotham.
Let me just bring up really very small point that partially this movie was made to annoy people that like Batman in the animated series because it's Carmine Falcone, not Falcone, and it's fucking Ra's al Ghul, not Raj or whatever the fuck they say it. It's Raish. That is the fucking way you pronounce it. Sorry. I was going bonkers. As a Batman the animated series fan, it was killing me.
Tom Wilkinson plays Carmine Falcone. So Batman, after he trains with the League of Shadows, and they try to force him to kill somebody, and he decides, I don't want to do that. He just decides. That's because he's a moral person, and you just know that because he is. And so he says that he doesn't want to do it. They're like, no, you got to do it. And so he goes, okay, I don't want to do it, and flicks an arrow, like an arrow that's on fire for some reason, into just as a distraction up into the rafters and ends up landing on some gunpowder and blows everything up. And all the assassins just don't do anything. Like there's a scene of Ra's al Ghul like kind of calling them off, like, I'm going to fight this guy. But they all just kind of stand there and die. They're not good at things.
I just want to, because this is a point I really need to hit here in the setting up of how much I hated the plot of this film. Please kill this guy. I don't want to kill this guy. That's bad. Oh, you're a person that has moral standings. Cool. Let me tell you about the plot to destroy the town you're from.
Yeah.
That was, and I think I almost forgot to notice how bad the plot is because of how stupid that scene was, where they decide to tell the guy that just went against the core fucking principles of your group. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're going against the core principles of our group? Cool. Let me just lay out our evil plans for you.
Yeah. So there's a lot of the scene where that happens again later is even worse. No, but that's the whole thing with Batman. So he goes to this League of Shadows. They train him. He is in a Chinese jail because he has run away from Gotham, because he is grown up and is sad. Like it cuts back to because his parents are dead. He's a sad man. He's been in boarding schools or whatever. And then he's going to go try to kill the guy that kills his parents. That doesn't go well. So then he runs away to China.
Yeah. And his running away to China presumably is to learn a martial arts skill set and how to be a criminal so he can stop criminals.
I found that very irritating because he's like, I'm a criminal, but I'm not a criminal. And it shows like, oh, look, he was stealing from Wayne Tech.
Yeah,
so
that bothered me a lot.
That is, that's still, embezzling is a crime.
Yeah, that bothered me a lot.
That's this weird shorthand or like this weird shortcut that didn't really make sense.
I get them getting around him killing people because he's supposed to be a hero.
Right.
But the theft thing was so stupid that it's like, oh no, it's waiting to, oh, fuck you, dude.
So he goes to, tries to League of Assassins, blows up, they all just die, and he saves Liam Neeson, who has been training him. And then this is one of my favorite things, because the third movie one of the huge criticisms of the third movie is a bit where Batman escapes from this prison, and then he's back in Gotham.
Yeah.
And the exact same thing happens in this. He escapes from China. He's getting back on a plane. And everyone's thought he's been dead for 7 years. Alfred's just like, hey, yeah, whatever. So you're not dead? Okay, cool. Like, it just happens. And, it's not like I need a 5-minute footage of him, dialing and calling Alfred or whatever. But it still just felt really weird where all of a sudden it's like, oh, okay, well, I guess that's done. I guess everything's fine. And they kind of talk about it. Oh, I left everything to Alfred, so it's fine. It's still on the way name. And then Alfred's like, of course I'll give it all up to you. Because, I don't know. I just felt that just felt really kind of...
This is... Yeah, that part annoyed me. But at that point, I'd realized once the bad guys went, oh, you don't want to kill anybody here, let me tell you about our evil plan. I went, oh yeah, this is where I start hating the movie. Because I barely remembered the movie, and I remembered, oh, this first act was actually pretty decent.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I actually made the note in my notes here that like, oh yeah, this is exactly what it is. Is this is the line where I start hating the movie. But him going back, this is where the movie starts to be, and it infuriated me, and if I'm sure a lot of people listening to this have watched it and end up watching in the future, just pay attention to, there's a shitload of these, and I should, in future shows, I'm going to write more of them down, but this is one of the first of, oh sure, I'll let you borrow the Beamer, or whatever he says, where it's the quippy stuff, mostly based around cars. Other example, I hope you know how to drive a stick.
Oh yeah.
That car isn't stick.
Well,
no. I'm not even being pedantic here. That means Batman's just being a cad. Like, it's not like he's actually concerned with this guy's ability to drive his car. He literally just came up with a bit.
Yeah.
To throw at that fucking.
It's like when he escapes to go to China, he gives this old homeless man his coat.
Oh, the coat.
And then when he sees him later, he's like, "Nice coat."
Yeah, nice coat.
Which, of course, like I'm thinking of, so you're interested in finding justice, and this guy's economic situation has not changed at all. And rather than like, I should see something about this.
Oh, that's a really good point. Yeah.
Which actually, so
the billionaire that just.
Well, I have a whole thing about that.
Okay.
So he comes back to fight the criminals, and Tom Wilkinson playing Carmine Falcone is in a different movie apparently, and this is largely my problem with a lot of the Christopher Nolan kind of stuff and the Christopher Nolan Batman stuff. It wants to be so serious and real and it is goofy as hell.
Oh, Falcone's thing?
Falcone's
Yeah.
like, hey, he seems like he should be talking about stickball or something. Like, his accent is so like, he's chomping on a cigar. And,
what's weird though is I felt like his accent actually fit the movie better than everybody else's almost, because this movie is kind of campy.
Yeah.
Like, it's weirdly enough, I thought he's like, as much as you're right, he is in a different movie, but I feel like he was in the right movie.
Sure.
Like, that actually felt like it was more on theme than a lot of the other kind of like Greaseball cop. He just seemed like he should be in an 8mm.
Oh,
I don't
yeah,
remember
yeah,
his name.
Oh yeah, I love that Greaseball actor. Who's the Greaseball in like everything?
Yeah. Oh, so Falcone, here's the thing with that. You think because your parents are dead, you know what it's like down here, and he gives that whole speech?
Yeah.
In fact, no, but his speech is really accurate.
Yeah.
The bad guy he's not supposed to be a nuanced bad guy. This is a black hat, no nuance. That's just the bad guy. That speech is entirely accurate. He brings up the social dynamics of wealth versus poverty and brings up a really good point. Like, yeah, your parents died, so you think you know what it's like to live in this shithole your whole life? It's like, this guy brings up a good point. Like, this is some fucking white European white knight. Like, yes, I shall go into the deepest docks of India and I should make the savages our own.
Well, so here's part of my thing with that is that he gives that speech like right after Rachel basically gave him the exact same speech. Oh, you're afraid and you don't know what it's like, and you're going to go on this journey to find out what fear really is, and stuff. So let's get to real quick is just my BS understanding of economics, the economics of Batman. So in all the flashbacks, Thomas Wayne, Batman's dad, is the most perfect human being ever. To the point of being insufferable, I find. Like, he's too goody-goody, and one of these things is that he's built this train to go around Gotham to help poor people get to their jobs.
Yeah.
Of course, to drive around his building. It's like MC Hammer. When MC Hammer got famous, he built his mansion on the hill.
Yeah.
So people could look up at it and be inspired. So like that. So he did that, and then Alfred tells this story of Thomas Wayne almost going bankrupt, helping out the people of Gotham.
Yeah.
And then Thomas Wayne dies. No one cares. No one does anything. Everything turns to crap.
Yeah.
And then you find out later that it was the League of Shadows. The League of Shadows, like what some of our tools are finding that as economics, for example. So the League of Shadows' whole thing is they want to destroy, when society gets too decadent, they're there to knock it back. So society was too decadent, so they turned Gotham into a crap hole, and now they're going to destroy it because it's a crap hole. Like, that doesn't make any sense. But I do like the kind of like, even though Batman himself is this sort of like Ayn Randian kind of hero of like, well, I have all this money and see, look, it's the goodwill of me and giving to charity and all this stuff that I'm making it happen. I don't know if Ayn Rand is the right word for that, but you know what I mean? Like the sort of conservative free market hero. When in reality, like that happened. And then the guy who did it died and everything turned to crap because there was no social structure in place.
Yeah.
That's how bored I was with this movie, that I was creating economic theories about Batman.
No, I didn't bring it to your level, and I'm glad you did. I'm glad you did that, because here's the thing: that the bad guy's plan really makes no sense. What are they trying to do? Kill Gotham to save it? I don't get it. I literally, and I'm not trying to play up for the audience, try to be like, oh, I'm going to be the guy that doesn't understand the movie to make it seem worse. I literally do not understand the plot of this film. I get, and that's the part I liked, but maybe him turning into Batman, training, fine, I liked it. I don't understand the bad guy's motives.
It's as simple, quote unquote simple, as I put out. Somehow they have this barometer for society getting too decadent.
And they're gonna,
that's basically like letting crime happen.
Okay.
Which again, the idea of punishing people economically to prevent.
But like, Gotham was a shitty city. That's the point of the film,
right? And that's bad because it's essentially so
crime is decadence,
basically. So I guess because like he does specifically say decadence, and so like instead of again. I don't know. I don't want to make this a whole socialist thing about like, attacking the structures in
I think
but
it's got to be.
But it is, yes, this weird thing. So he's like, we were there, we sacked Rome and all this stuff. Somehow there's this, when society gets to a certain point, they have to quote unquote knock it back to what? I don't know. But they seem to be big about justice, an eye for an eye kind of thing. Like you steal, you get punished.
Okay.
And I guess that's not happening enough. But I also don't understand why, because then he makes like an allusion to like Thomas Wayne kind of being in the way later. Ra's al Ghul makes it like so it's kind of unclear. They are just controlling things from the background in a way you don't need to understand. But Gotham angered them, and somehow destroying Gotham is going to show everyone else everything.
Yeah,
not to unfairly compare it to other movies, But the 1988 Joker's plan, the Batman, or 1989, the Batman, Jack Nicholson Joker.
Yeah.
His plan was, okay, I'm going to get everyone in the streets, fill these balloons, with the promise of free money, fill these balloons and just kill everyone. Why? Yeah, I don't know. I want to. And then Batman's going to show up, I'll kill him too.
Okay.
Like, that's a plan.
But that's fine.
That's,
yeah, exactly.
That's a pointlessly complicated plan.
We have set up that this guy is obviously a little bonkers.
Yeah.
He makes up a bonkers. I would be fine with that. If they set up the League of the League of Shadows, they're called the League of Assassins elsewhere in DC, right?
I'm going to say yes.
I swear they're called something Assassins. If they had set up that they're literally, like, if Ra's al Ghul, one of the Ra's al Ghul starts twirling his mustache and goes, we just like destroying things. Tee! Yeah. All of my problems are out of the window. I don't care if their reason is dumb, but they've existed for thousands of years.
Yeah.
Their reasons have to make sense in the vaguest, just surface level whiff of a writer's pen has to make sense. And I just kept going back to how there's no villain in this film. So the only villain is a mentally insane guy who dresses up like a scarecrow, who is, upon further watching, I think maybe the worst actor I've ever seen in my life.
He's not great in this.
He's not good at this.
Again, like a thing where it's like there's this sort of like this camp thing that doesn't fit well with the rest of it. And like going like all of Batman's jokes.
Yeah.
Which they largely got rid of in the other ones, thankfully. Because they just, and some of it might just be that Christian Bale is not a funny human being.
But it doesn't, even if he had the comedy timing of whoever is the greatest comedic timing ever, it doesn't work with the context of the script at all.
Yeah. I think this also kind of speaks to one of my other problems with this movie is Christian Bale as Bruce Wayne. His Bruce Wayne is really weird. The best Bruce Wayne in Batman TV movie stuff, Kevin Conroy, Batman the Animated Series Bruce Wayne. He's just like this affable guy. He's like, yeah, he seems like he knows some stuff and he makes some business decisions sometimes. And then like, he's kind of a devil with the ladies, but in this, like, he's just affable in this almost forgettable way. He seems like he's trying to like, this is my human voice. It feels forced and weird. And I think it's kind of supposed to be the point, but it,
that was an acting choice.
Yeah, I think again, I didn't want to compare it to the other movies all the time. I think this is something that is done better in the other ones. In this one, it's really stilted and strange. Like the whole scene where he drunkenly kicks everyone out of his house.
Yeah,
is another thing that makes no sense because Ra's al Ghul shows up, and that scene is super bizarre because you have this woman out of nowhere at the party being like, here's someone you need to meet, Ra's al Ghul, and it's some guy who's not Ra's al Ghul. It turns out there's no Ra's al Ghul. It's Liam Neeson. Which like this little extra bit of trickery, was that necessary? But that's Christopher Nolan. That's this weird bit of sleight of hand, and I guess it adds something to it.
Unnecessary is the word.
And then just that woman's just stuck sitting there. Who's she? So he tells, Batman figures something's up. And he's like, hey, can I get all my guests out of here? And he's like, well, you can try to explain it to them. Like, they're all doomed. And so he just gets drunk, like pretends to be drunk and just goes, you all suck. Leave my house. And they do. And the bad guys just go, okay. Yeah, like that was what was the point of that?
I keep going back to the simple statement of the bad guys make this. The villain concept, the part of this film was so underused and poorly built. So the big reappearance of Ra's al Ghul, we don't care about him. The only reason I care about him is because I watched the animated series and I'm aware of the mythos of Batman and Ra's al Ghul, and he's literally like he is Batman's number one villain if you talk about like skills and ability to fight each other.
Sure, and not dying.
Yeah. So, just like to not put it, because everybody knows Joker's the number one, but like really as far as like, actual combative structure, it would be Ra's al Ghul. So choosing him as the villain is a weird choice to have him be one. The villain role in this film is underplayed, even if it was played even if it was played well, there wasn't a lot of villain in it. Weird to choose him. 2, they don't build him up. 3, them not building it up makes the big reveal of him not actually being Ra's al Ghul means nothing because we don't know who Ra's al Ghul is. Yeah. I do because I read the comics and watched the animated series, but you're going, wait, you're not really Ra's al Ghul? We don't know who Ra's al Ghul is except for in the scenes that you saw with Christian Bale in them.
Right.
So there's no trick. It'd be like, yeah, by the way, turns out my name isn't Barry. Barry was the guy on my right the whole time. Yeah. It means exactly the same. Ra's al Ghul is the only thing we know is it's the guy from there.
Sure.
So what we found out at the big reveal is, wait, the guy from there was the other guy from there?
Right. And I mean, obviously to some degree that this, you're making a film for fans. but you're trying to appease fans with some stuff. So they're bringing knowledge into this. But as far as, so I agree with what you're saying in terms of you're just Joe Everyman going in and being like, I don't include this Ra's al Ghul. And they try to set it up by being like, well, there's these machinations happening in the background. Why are all these, who's the Scarecrow working for? Why are they moving all these people here? And when the reveal is just that like, oh no, it's the guy from before. Yeah. It's not that, like to me, it's not that exciting.
So Christopher Nolan does, or I shouldn't say, I'm not going to speak for him though, but in this film, the trick that they're doing is like a magician doing two tricks at once and expecting the audience to know how impressive that is. Where it's like, no. The whole point of that is you have to know what the first trick is, understand its difficulty, and then you pairing the other trick on top of it. Then we understand how difficult you just did. So what you're doing is you're doing tricks for people that understand the first trick, which you haven't established enough. Right. So it's like, oh, cool. I did this disappearing card trick that's normally done this way, but I did it this way, which is much harder when you're like, but I didn't know the first trick. So what you've done is overcomplicate things and then had tried to explain it to me later how much of a fucking overcomplicated thing you just pulled off. And it's like, well, no, you just, what you did was you just threw a bunch of, like, you didn't understand the audience. You don't understand where you're coming across, and somebody should have given the script a pass.
Not only did I find your card, I showed you your card.
Yeah, it's just, point earlier. One of the things that really annoys me about the Batman voice, and it goes to your thing about him not playing a convincing Bruce Wayne, is that Bruce Wayne feels like a put on, a character.
Yeah.
Then Batman has to sound natural.
Yeah.
If Bruce Wayne is going to sound forced, which I'm fine with, because in the comics, and I truly believe this is the way it is. Bruce Wayne died when he was a kid. There is now the psyche of the human walking around is Batman, and he puts on the Bruce Wayne face when he needs to live in the world. Mm-hmm. I firmly believe that's the way the character works, and that's why it's an interesting character. And that's the way Kristen Bale was playing it for Bruce Wayne, which I'm fine with, but then Batman can't be, Batman has to sound natural.
Yeah.
And that didn't sound natural coming from him.
Well,
so you're putting on two different personalities and then not establishing who the personality is. But that shows up as a plot point, like going with this tricks within tricks, because Katie Holmes talks to him about it going, well, I don't know who that boy that left is, but he's dead. I don't know. Like, so this is a theme, except again, tricks within tricks, and you didn't establish enough for me to give up. Yeah.
But see, I would argue there's a third person. So you have the awkward Bruce Wayne. You have the Batman, but then you have the Bruce Wayne that Alfred knows. That is when I think Chris, like, that is that Batman. That is, I think, when Christian Bale actively like seems like a person, or like
okay,
you know what I mean? Like so he's Batman, but he doesn't have to do this voice.
Yeah,
because he's also he's learning too.
Fair point, but I don't like that.
No, I understand the criticism. The voice was really bad. But one thing about the whole creation of Batman, though, that I found interesting is I kind of like the whole thing, the little montage of like him and Alfred like ordering stuff, and then like the mask doesn't work. They pound it and it breaks. It's like, well, we got to order new ones.
Oh yeah,
like it's filler, but I kind of liked it. What bothered me a lot was the scenes with Lucius Fox.
Yeah.
And so this was, again, this sort of like sleight of hand, and it's sort of, it's an interesting sort of look at screenwriting. So the first time he meets Lucius Fox, he goes down to see Lucius Fox in Applied Sciences at Wayne Tech. And it's like, I wanted to work here. It sounded kind of cool. And they're kind of talking about how, it's a dead end. They just shoved me here because I'm a troublemaker. I'm a rascal. Then cut to Lucius Fox is just showing him guns and like grappling guns and this like Kevlar suit for militias or the military. Yeah. And then he's just like, so what's your interest in this stuff? It's like, oh, I'm going spelunking. So you just were showing him, like he specifically asked about, like, what do we got in the way of repelling and that? But they just cut it out because it's just carrying along, and you kind of know, having seen a movie before, you're like, this is what's happening here. Okay, this is the gearing up scene. And then later when he's going to make the cape, and Lucius Fox is like, well, here's this neat material. You run current through it. It gets solid. Otherwise it's a cape, or, it's just fabric. He's like, what are you going to do with it? Well, I'm going to go base jumping. Hey, if you have a problem with doing this stuff for me, he's like, hey, less you tell me, the better. Don't think I'm an idiot, which I didn't understand that line in terms of, like, there's no reason for him to know that Bruce Wayne has been up to anything like fighting crime or anything like that. So what's that? What's the like, don't, like, it made it seem like I know what you're up to. There is no way you could know what he's up to.
This is the problem. And see, I didn't even take that first part as It wasn't, oh, what can you show me in the way of a grappling hook? Because there's no way for him to know, oh, there's a grappling hook in development, or maybe whatever. The point is,
Yeah.
I don't think that's established that, like, we cut out the spots where he walks up to Lucius Fox and go, here, show me things like this. I think it's basically, they just got lazy and just went, well, Lucius knows he's Batman. Even though he's not Batman yet, because there's no other way those scenes work other than Lucius Fox being aware that he's about to become a masked vigilante, if you will, that's in the form of a bat. There's no, well, he doesn't have to know about the bat part, but there's no other way for those scenes to function. It's, let me show you the super suit, the grappling gun. It's just,
but it is this like, yeah, but look, okay, so here's the gear. Look at the gear. Don't worry about this. Look at the gear. Look at the gear. Isn't this cool?
Yeah.
This is going to be Batman, you guys. This is going to be Batman. It's like, I read this interview with Philip K. Dick once where he talked about Philip K. Dick, it's been said, like, wrote all this science fiction, but like could barely operate a lamp. And he was talking about being that sort of stupid about science to a degree, that how you deal with that stuff is contextualize it. So you have an alien race that has emotion control chips. Rather than explain the emotion control chips and how they work, you just go, hey, where are the emotion control chips? Oh, they're in a jar in that cupboard. You've just given them a location, like, okay, these things exist and they're there. And so that's kind of like this weird shorthand with that, where it's like you're just ignoring all these other things and just going like, no, look, we have the suit. Here's the suit. That's all you need to worry about. There's a suit there. Doesn't matter how he got there. This is going to be the Batman suit. And I've seen this movie several times, and it wasn't until this time that I kind of picked that up, that I'm like, wait a minute, why is he showing him this? Or why is he acting like that?
no, it doesn't make, it's dependent on him knowing about Batman before Batman. It doesn't make much sense. But this leads to also another one of the fucking quips. Driving around in the car thing goes, does it come in black?
It feels weird. It doesn't feel like if it was Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man doing it, you'd be like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
But it feels weird.
Because the whole character's supposed to be this brooding, dark maniac that's, so tortured from the death of his parents that, like, all he can do to stay alive is to wage his war on crime. Not like, hey, just cracking wise with my inventor friend.
Or it's like, there's even that weird joke at the end, when he's attacking Ra's al Ghul. We haven't even talked about like how their execution of the whole plan is just needlessly convoluted.
Oh yeah.
They're putting chemicals in the water and they're going to shoot the water with a laser to make the chemicals aerosol so people breathe and go crazy, rather than like, I don't know, like getting a helicopter and just dumping them on people.
Yeah. Or not for nothing. They've been around since before Rome, right?
Yeah.
They could just, tweak the chemical to have it work to be in the drinking water.
Yeah.
That's just me, like, kind of throwing it out there.
It's a made up thing anyway. Like,
yeah.
you just made it pointlessly.
2,000 years in the, they've been around.
But the quip thing. So Batman like shows up to fight Ra's al Ghul, and Ra's al Ghul, having already talked about like, and training him in the theatricality, and even like when they meet again in using theatricality as a weapon of like, distraction. Even when they meet again in Bruce Wayne's mansion, he talks about that. And then when Batman flies up, he's like, I think you're overdoing it with the theatricality. Yeah. Basically. And it's just like, wait, what?
Yeah.
And you don't get to say that.
They really hit that point a lot, the whole theatricality thing. It's like, we got it. Like,
yeah, no,
that really needed to be said like once in the beginning of the film. Like, this is not a nuanced point that you really need to get across. The weapon thing, there's another one of those terrible exposition parts where it's like, well, I don't know, the boat was out to sea and the boat must have had something happen to it. And then it turns out that the boat had this weapon in it. Hey, we've got this weapon. Well, it turns out the weapon got turned on in this boat. And the thing, it's like, Jesus fucking Christ. Like, I get it, video game. That's where I'm going to get the weapon in a later stage.
Right. Yeah. Really bad in a lot of ways. And some like the scripting stuff, which not to go.
Oh, wait, a quick one of the scripting stuff. Hey, John, you know how you buy a multi-million-dollar hotel?
Oh, yeah.
You just write a check and put it in the waiter's
some
pocket.
Guy. Just to some guy.
Yeah.
Which, that was also, are those escorts? That was the thing I just couldn't help but wonder, like, who are those women? I'm sure it's like, if you're like a super rich guy, and you're like, hey, eligible bachelor Bruce Wayne is back, it's probably not that hard to get on Bat Tinder or whatever.
Yeah.
But it's just seemed like, so who are these women that you're just like, hey, why don't you ladies go swim in a pool?
In another movie, I don't remember if it's in the Nolan ones or the animated, but there's one where he pays a prostitute to be in his apartment when somebody walks in the morning where they're pretending to have drank a lot the night before, and then he gives her some money and tells her to get the hell out. That like she literally hired a prostitute just to be there in the morning so he could pull off the I'm a drunken billionaire playboy.
Sure. Well, that's that's very progressive. That's this very like, hey, no, sex work is a job. Like I'm against injustice and whatever, but hey, ladies, you do you.
Yeah. Which is good. Yeah. I mean, it's I don't think they really went far enough with that subtext in the film, because I really needed more about the weird foreign ladies dancing around in the I'm going to buy this
which
hotel.
the whole thing, I think that was part of it is that and it's been the running thing of the whole series is that, he's not really Bruce Wayne, he's Batman. Because the whole time Bruce Wayne is just undermining, like, it's just terrible. Is there to just be an awful jerk rather than you could probably be more invisible as Bruce Wayne if you were just a plutocrat, like he's just a rich dude that just did stuff that rich dudes do. It's less interesting than than this guy. Look at these antics. What's he up to this time?
Well, I think the point of that is supposed to be, and it's not well done, that because he's such an asshole and a terrible person, he couldn't possibly be the really great guy, the Batman, that's trying to clean things up. So it's just further pushing his personality away from one that would possibly be a source for justice.
Which is also weird. And the end of the movie, so chaos happens when they because they do release some of the gas into the Narrows.
Yeah.
So all stuff's going on, all this stuff's terrible, and there's chaos, and then Batman saves the day. And in the process of doing that, they also burn down Wayne Mansion. The villains burn down Wayne Mansion. And the headline is like, drunken billionaire burns down mansion. And it's this weird thing of like, you couldn't also blame that on the other stuff that happened. You know what I mean? Like, you couldn't just be they attacked me too.
Yeah.
It's got to be this weird. I didn't understand that move. I mean, again, it's what we were talking about. Like he's this awful jerk, so he couldn't possibly do it. But that just seemed wholly unnecessary.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's kind of like, again, not to get into all of it, but in the third one, when Bane and those guys break in to the stock exchange and do all this stuff, and then it's like, well, then it turns out Bruce Wayne was doing some horrible stock stuff. You don't think those two things might be related?
Yeah.
But it's the same thing with like, who does the news in this town?
Yeah, that's
like,
true. Yeah.
Terrible.
I didn't even think about that. Yeah, the drunken billionaire thing is really stupid. I mean, they're in the middle of a fucking terrorist attack.
Yeah, and there's like, and then this, and then old Boozy over here.
Yeah, and that really was an underplayed scene of like, that should be this really traumatic part of like, losing the mansion of his father. But it was just kind of like, shit burns down.
Yeah, which was a weird thing. So the only person that really cared about the legacy of the Waynes is Alfred.
Yeah.
Because he just did, like, he was all just about vengeance. And it felt like there was trying to be a story of him, like, trying to eschew that and be a person, but that never really coalesced into anything. It was all, because, it's not about who you are, it's about the actions that you do. And that never really paid off for me in terms of, like, you did what you wanted to do, and then you were a jerk to some other people, and then, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, as a character, he's not interesting in this movie.
No. Basically the only part of the character I liked was, kind of building up to him becoming Batman, and then it's just boring as shit. Here's a scene that I want to get to here. Just going with the whole narrative doesn't make a lot of sense in this movie. Basically, if you look at it in any way, falls apart. Scarecrow and Falcone in the room together, where he's like, well, they told me that, I'm going to have to kill you. And they sprays him with the, no cameras in there. No one's watching.
Right.
That's just, I know that's like a narrative convenience and all, but like this movie spent a lot of time on much smaller things.
Yeah.
That it's such a like a,
well,
it's useless illogic. Like it would have taken half of a second to explain that away.
Yeah.
Like when Scarecrow walked in, just points at his nose and you see the guard walk some other way and flip a switch or something.
Yeah.
It's just one of those things of like, oh no, cool. We just want a cool scene of them being in a white room where he puts on the mask. He's putting on a mask and shooting drugs at a guy in like a police custody and no one sees.
The drug was kind of fascinating because I like some of the effects around the drug. And this is a beautifully shot movie. Like it's a very pretty movie for its totally. Grimness.
Yeah.
But like the weird, like just the effects they do and when you see like Batman and he's like all black and drooling goo, that was really cool. But the way people, like this drug kind of fascinated me because its effects were different for different people and how people reacted to it. And I say it's different for different people. Like Batman goes into a coma, kind of. Like he sleeps for a couple days. Rachel's apparently going to lose her mind because she's taken like a very hearty dose. Yeah. And it's just catatonic. And then Scarecrow gets a dose to the face and then just is fine later. Like nothing is,
Well, I think
Like
Scarecrow,
he's in the insane asylum, but he doesn't seem like that any worse off than he ever was.
And not to defend this because I think it's accidental that this makes sense, is that Bruce had the drug before because that's based on the same flowers thing. Scarecrow obviously had been introduced to the drug or is just completely fucking bonkers. So the only person that actually had really, really nasty effects is Rachel.
But I guess
it sort of makes sense.
In all cases, and even when everyone in the not everyone, but when a lot of people in the city are being when they're attacked with the fear gas, really just paralyzes everyone. Like you'd think there'd just be a lot more just screaming. Like, I don't know if you've ever seen the Upright Citizens Brigade sketch where they look in the bucket of truth and you look into it and you just scream constantly after that.
That's awesome.
I just you think that, like, there's the dirty cop is like got these kids at gunpoint and they're all just like scared of each other, but they're all just standing there like just frozen in fear. And now, granted, there's the part where they're all like, the people are all attacking Batman because they see him as this big scary thing. But a lot of it was people just kind of standing there and being like, Rachel is just kind of catatonic with fear. And one of my favorite things with that is that she's terrified. So it's like, all right, well, I'm dressed up like a bat and I'm gonna repel you long distance down, and I'm gonna take you in a really fast car.
That part, I literally thought it was played for laughs of him going like, no, you just got to calm down. And he's driving like 80 down the fucking one-way street.
Which again, with this movie, maybe it was. Who knows?
Yeah.
That actually is one of my favorite things in the movie. Between when I saw this movie originally and watching it now, I was introduced to Axe Cop. Axe Cop is this wonderful comic drawn by a guy, and it's written by his like 5-year-old brother. And so it's this great just insight into the mind of a 5-year-old, and makes me think about how I was at that age too. And Axe Cop always has some ridiculous thing, like he's always got a secret button that he presses that does things. Like a button in his wrist that makes bad guys go to sleep, or something.
Yeah.
And Batman has a secret button in his shoe that makes bats come. Like it didn't make any sense to me that he's like, I'm gonna watch this, and all of a sudden all these. It's cool, it's a neat thing, but I'm just like that. Batman just has a secret button in his boot that makes bats show up wherever he is because he is miles away from his house where the bats are. That's kind of ridiculous, but again, it looked neat. Which I feel
it did look cool, but like that's one of those ones that you don't want to stare at for too long. Because I was thinking about how incredibly stupid that was. Because also, it didn't really do much.
Yeah, well, and then it's like, why didn't he use it again?
Yeah. Oh yeah, that's true. I didn't think about that.
If I could control bat, I would be controlling bats a lot.
Yeah, that chase scene where she's getting the shit scared out of her. One, boy, a lot of cops would be dead. Were that in real life?
Oh yeah.
Batman's supposed to be anti-murder, but yeah,
Batman kills a lot of people in this movie.
Yeah, there's a lot of dead people there. Also, that's taking longer than that fucking scene from Bullet. Like that, it was a long fucking chase scene. Like I really. Like, I didn't fast forward it all through the film, but there were parts, like, especially around there, that I was just, I literally have, I'm so bored. This movie is so fucking long.
Yeah.
And that was when I referred to as when the nightmare fart got in the air.
Right.
Where for some reason, everybody just had, not for some reason, but, I was really, really over with the film by that point. Like, I was just really itching. It takes fucking forever. But yeah, murders a lot of cops in a very, very long car chase that, frankly, doesn't really need to be there because he's trying to drive her to get some of that medicine, right?
Yeah.
I don't really understand why the car chase was happening then.
Yeah, because he didn't have it with him. Because it was being synthesized. He had to take her back to the Batcave.
No, I got that, but why were the cops chasing him? I mean, other than maybe just general vigilanteism, but it just seemed like it was an organized car chase that like all the cops are out looking for him, and they don't really know why.
I can't refute that because, or speak to that. Just I honestly don't remember because I'm getting it muddled in my mind with the previous cop thing. Because I remember because Katie Holmes finds the thing. The Scarecrow shows her the plan.
Yeah,
gasses her. Batman kind of saw that happen.
Yeah, and then he grabs her and they hop in the Batmobile and fuck off back to the cave.
Yeah, because they already don't like Batman because the commissioner is like oh, no one's gonna make the rule, do their own justice. So I think maybe
I don't think there's an answer. I mean,
I honestly don't remember. This is a great movie review. I don't remember the movie that we just saw.
Well, no, but I don't think there's I think it's just they needed a chase scene there, and they just went, oh yeah, the cops are after him, and that's fine. You can put in a million reasons why cops would be chasing him. Except you should probably put in a reason why the cops are chasing him.
Right.
Like have Commissioner McEvil Black Guy go, hey, Batman's got to be arrested.
Well,
just the only black guy in the movie other than Lucius Fox is I'm an evil incompetent man.
the thing is that all that could be explained by Ra's al Ghul's speech at Wayne Manor. One of the reasons the city is so decadent is that it's so corrupt. And it's so corrupt because they've been able to infiltrate every level of this city.
Yeah.
Which is a weird thing. Like, that's some like circular logic of like, well, it's bad because we're here. How'd you get here? We're making it bad. So basically, because of that, the League of Shadows is secretly controlling everything in Gotham. So they're all the cops too. They control the cops too.
Yeah,
if your logic is that they're secretly behind everything, then that's
fine.
Why not?
I kind of wish not that it's fine. It's one of those things of trying to watch it with like any kind of critical eye. It's just a lot of things fell apart. That it's like oh, you just take it for granted that there's a cop chase, but it's like we haven't really established why cops would be after him. But it's like one of those things where it's a lot of this movie is a lot of that stuff. It's like, oh, why is this happening? Well, it's because it's happening. It's just.
And ultimately, to me, and we've touched on this a little bit, but what it boils down to is that this movie, like, there's stuff in other comic book movies that I would totally let go, but the way this movie treats its subject matter, I can't. You know what I mean? Like, if this movie were at all fun, that's a huge thing for me. Is that, like, I know Batman's supposed to be this dark character, but these movies are just dull and just grim, and not in a largely interesting way. Like, again, like going back to the Michael Keaton Batman. It's not a perfect movie or whatever, but at least it was, it had a little bit more spark to it than this. This is just...
It's lifeless is what a lot of this was.
Yeah, this was just like, oh, look at this. Oh, boy.
One more pun. The Scarecrow got, in quotes, some of his own medicine.
Yeah.
Ha! That's a good one.
Yeah.
Here's Scarecrow while talking to Maggie. What's her name?
Well, the character is Rachel Dawes. Yeah. Played is a strong word, but Katie Holmes.
I liked her a lot better than Maggie Gyllenhaal, to be honest.
Oh, yeah?
But I can't compare the two, but because, not supposed to compare to the next movie, but boy, did I like her better. So he's talking to her and he goes, well, he's crazy because he falls on Jungian archetypes. In this case, a scarecrow. In the Jungian archetypes,
yeah,
the scarecrow.
Well, to me, I mean,
sorry, I'm just kind of like, this is one delivered like he was made of wood and awkward,
right?
And then two, it was such a one, I hate Jungian archetypes so much, and then two, Jungian archetype, like the scarecrow.
Well, I'm too dumb that was like, oh yes, oh there's science, yes, of course. But it's also like, wouldn't that be like the 10th, 12th time they've heard that? Like, he's fixated on this scarecrow character.
Yeah, totally, yeah.
This keeps happening, it's pretty ridiculous.
Yeah, also like, again, I mean, I guess it's just, you can paint with the brush of everybody's corrupt, but people are like, oh yeah, another one of his gang was found criminally insane, so they're criminally insane. Like, they just make this reference to, like, people keep getting off. It's like, well... Anybody want to do something about that? I mean, I guess, yeah, they're corrupt. I take that back.
So kind of going back to that in this convoluted plan. So they were being made to be criminally insane. So they would go to Arkham Asylum where they would be put to work, making the chemical to dump it in the water. Am I doing that right? Because that's kind of a weak link, because they keep making everyone insane to put them in Arkham.
Yeah, I think it's just that makes them not go to jail.
Yeah, okay.
I think that's the whole, I mean, maybe there's another reason. It didn't even occur to me. I just thought it was a cheap way to have, no, but why'd they even bring it up?
Because it seemed like, so Falcone, they did it because he was going to talk. Like, cause he knew, like, cause he got busted, Batman, that was a great scene. The Batman as horror movie character, when his first appearance in the docks, when he's getting those guys. I thought that was a well done scene.
Wait, just one small thing about that script writing. The Batman's here, I guess we got a bail. Could you not use the word bail in that context? I know it's small, but that's the actor's fucking name. Use a different word. It's one of those things that I could have, it threw me out of the scene, and it's a small
Batman's
deal,
here.
but it just annoyed me to say we've got a bail in the same thing as, it was one of those like, come on guys, did that not occur to you?
Batman's here, we got a Clooney.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's anyway, sorry.
So that was actually a very well done scene. I really enjoyed that. But and in the process, he puts Falcone at the scene. He gets him there, and then so then they get him cleared legally insane because he threatens to talk. So that one makes sense. Like, so that's just tying up loose ends. Like, I can't come into here and shoot you in the head in the interrogation room. So instead, I'm going to spray my fear gas and make you insane.
Yeah, that one did make sense. Yeah,
but the other ones, I'm just not clear on what's the point. And I don't know. I think maybe that the idea is that it is like that they're just getting off scot-free, essentially. That he's been seemingly working with Falcone to just, no, I'll get him declared insane, and then they'll be fine. And then they go to have a cush experience at Arkham Asylum.
Yeah,
with its beachfront pool and all that.
I guess that, I mean, that makes sense, but it's another one of those things where it's just something that's happening in the movie because something has to happen.
Well, like and again, I reject the notion that superhero movies are above any scrutiny, but there is this sort of like, because it's not fun, I'm thinking about things.
Yeah, it's a good point. There's a lot of time to kind of mull over, but I think another problem that maybe I don't even want to say overthink it, but think about it, is there's no causal links in the film. The only causal links are Batman's parents get killed, which, again, walking out of the back of the theater, not this movie's fault, but that's always annoyed me as a Batman mythos. They die, he's too much of a pussy to kill Joe Chill, he goes off, becomes a ninja, comes back, fine. These are all causal links. From there on, nothing really connects to each other. So nothing got him from becoming Batman back to Ra's other than Ra's walking back into the picture. Like nothing he did, Batman wasn't a player in any of the actions. Nothing he did caused the next thing in the film once he got back to Gotham.
Sure.
So he just was there, and he didn't really even react to anything. So basically all Batman did from once he got back was win the fight on the train. Everything else was just shit that was there. Instead of because he did this next sequence had to happen. Like,
right.
Like,
he basically gets Carmine Falcone. Like, which is sort of something like that. That's sort of what set up as like, he kind of, humiliated him by telling him like, you don't know what's what, you're a dumb kid. And he comes back and he gets him.
Yeah.
And then that story's over and there's still movie happening.
Yeah. So so that happened. And then it's like, well, Scarecrow guy, which I guess he works for, he does work for Ra's or whatever, but like, they don't really have a nice head to head where he wins. So like, him being taken out via his own gas doesn't lead to Ra's coming back. Like nothing.
Right, that was already happening.
Yeah, nothing really led to the next thing. It was just kind of like he was just a guy. It was more
he was like starting to get the scent of it, but then it happened. Like it came to him.
He wasn't a detective. He didn't figure anything out, and like he didn't have any agency in it. He was just kind of like this guy that was there. So it just kind of like left me like, oh, that's like a really fractured film where it's like by the end, it's like, I don't really know what we accomplished. Like we killed the guy that we met in the first act in a train.
Right. Your father's train that you've now destroyed. So how are the poor people getting to work?
Yeah, wait, good point. Yeah. Way to go, poor. You couldn't fight somewhere else.
Yeah.
Also,
they don't.
Putting the weapon on the train was weird. That didn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, because to vaporize it in different parts of the city. Again, like an aerial thing, that would have been.
Yeah. There was a lot of it.
Yeah, it was a really convoluted plot. It was needlessly complex. Just the step of we have to make it a gas in order for it to work. Like why don't you just, it's a made up thing anyway. You can have it be whatever you want. So that kind of irritated me. It just seemed like this unnecessary step to, well, we can't have them come up with a plan that would be too, it's like a James Bond villain thing. Like just shoot him. Like don't tie him to a thing and shoot lasers at him and try to cut him up that slowly, is going up between his legs. Just shoot him. So it's just this needlessly complex thing that, well, I guess that happens in comic books, so we better stay true to that.
I would almost be fine with that, except it didn't like fit, and it was kind of rushed. That it was just kind of like, it was put together, like the way they put it together, like, and if you had a microwave weapon, and that was kind of a fun reveal, Lucius Fox being smart, but like, it was done so naturally, or the way that it's done is almost like, oh, wait, he's got detonating fuses and C4, where it's like, well, naturally they're going to blow something up. Where it's like, oh, well, he's got this microwave weapon that was like, for such a fantastic concept that they're putting forth, it was done in such like kind of the payoff wasn't there for how convoluted a plot it was. Like it was kind of found out in oh, well, this one thing, well, therefore we got it all figured out.
Well, also, why don't you just use it to vaporize the water supply?
Well, that too. Yeah.
Yeah. Like it's
just
this,
like
again, this extra step. Like, why did you do that? Like, particularly because like, so you were invested in this long-term plan to destroy Gotham economically. And then we got other things to do. We got to destroy it right now.
Yeah.
It was, just a lot. Just the whole ethos of the bad guys were so ill-defined. They're just unhappy with that this place exists, basically. I went on a vacation there once. I had a negative time. Yelp doesn't exist yet. This is only 2005. So the only logical thing to do is to destroy it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're exactly right. If they had Yelp, this movie never would have happened.
Fine.
Yeah.
I just leave a 1-star review for my hotel and then get on with my life.
So that's, the big finale of the film, which really wasn't all that big or very finale-like. Here's another part of the movie that doesn't make any sense. They're on the roof. The bat signals in the air because, they know that we have emotions. They're trying to play to it. Why, Gov, I never said thank you, because his accent's fucking terrible. That's my Gary Oldman. That's a Chicago accent. Oi, Batman! I never said thank you, and you'll never have to. Let's think about that John, what does that line mean?
It means he's selfless, and he's doing it not for the thanks, but for just the good.
Really? That's the walkaway line of the film?
That is the walkaway line. Because he learned that it's good to do that.
Yeah,
and the real power comes from inside. And be yourself.
Which works really well with the theme of the film, fear.
Fear and his arc of I'm not going to kill guys.
Yeah.
And then
that whole movie we just watched?
Yeah.
This doesn't have much to do with that.
Yeah.
And you'll never have to.
Yeah.
That's a nice thing to say.
Before he was asking for thanks. They cut a lot of those scenes where he was seriously. just standing, Falcone's tied up and he's like, hello, you're welcome.
It honestly feels like there's a cut C plot of newspapers saying how great Batman is. Yeah. And frankly, I think this might be true because they make a reference to it when they're at the party. No. They make a reference where Bruce Wayne's making fun of Batman, where he's like, well, I think Batman's great. And he's like, well, I think some guy dressed up as a bat should be put in a loony bin or whatever he says in his witty, I'm rich and white thing.
Yeah.
But maybe there was a C plot of Batman's really great. Everybody bow down to Batman.
There is allegedly a script available online that is just David Goyer's script before Christopher Nolan got involved.
Yeah.
And so I am kind of curious to see, all right, what did Nolan scrub? Nolan is add more fear here. Add more of the words fear. Can he say fear every other word?
Yeah, that doesn't make a lot of sense.
But again, the newspapers, as we've established in Gotham, are terrible.
Well,
they might have had headlines that were just Batman's great.
Yeah, they go and it shows
clearly just in it for his own self.
Yeah. I have one more thing here. I think this is the first instance of a noise. That noise is in every fucking movie since this one. It's in Avengers. It's in all the Transformers ones. And when I was listening,
what is happening when that noise?
It's where the train has fallen off and and it's going through the underground parking structure, and it makes that noise. And I just realized it's a noise I notice in every movie now. It's in every movie. When in Avengers, when the Tesseract explodes, it makes that noise.
Huh. But it certainly sounds like something from Transformers.
I know it's in Transformers, but it occurs to me I have no idea what that noise is supposed to be. In real life, somebody heard that and went, "Oh, that's a cool noise." But it's I'm like, "Oh, I have to play this because now that it's in your head, it's like the Wilhelm scream."
Yeah,
you're gonna it's that noise is in every fucking movie.
There is a specific gate closing Foley, like this gate closing sound that in Castlevania 64 is in that. And because I've heard it in that, I hear it clear as day in every movie it's in. It's been in a couple Harry Potter or something. Anytime anyone's closing a gate, they use this particular sound, and I'm like, oh, it's the Castlevania sound.
Yeah, this is some deep level nerdity right there. But that thing is in every fucking movie. There's no way to describe it, but it's this is now the noise that's going to be in every film.
The tech explosion package.
Yeah.
Yeah. Again, it's like going back to talking about the music, and all of the music is all the same now. Everyone's just using the same sound effects. It's just the one guy.
Yeah.
That's got here's my explosion pack.
I mean, it probably is. Yeah. They just download the thing. Anything else for Batman Begins?
It's okay. It's not hateable in the way that I hate other movies, or that I feel I don't feel insulted by it. I feel like it does a lot of really stupid things.
Yeah.
But I don't feel it's like, huh? But isn't this cool? It presents it. It's there. And just some of the stuff's pretty dumb. Watch the 1989 Batman. I'd just do that. Don't watch this one.
Yeah. For this one, this is actually like one of those, I almost after watching it, I almost like wanted to call an audible and do a different movie for the first episode.
Sure.
And I'm glad we didn't because we actually got a lot out of this. But it's like, this is one of those films where it's like that, it's right in that hinterland between it's not good and it's not bad, but it's also not bad enough to be enjoyable. It's just boring. Like there is just, I mean, there was a couple cool scenes, but like for the most part, like that scene where he's like kind of the demon, other than saying the word bail, which really, I know that's just me, but that really threw me. But like that scene was cool, and some of the training stuff in the beginning is cool, but like a lot of it is just like a lot of just kind of like that chase scene. I couldn't have been more bored by, and it's like I see cool things are happening, but it's like this is what it, and it's. Not to compare it to other Nolan movies, but that's exactly what I'm going to do. Because it occurred to me while I'm watching this, my problem with Christopher Nolan is his movies are, I don't want to say forgettable, but they don't stick. After watching them, even if I'm having fun while watching, the moment it's done, I'm just like, whatever. I didn't even like it that much. Like, even if I liked it while it was happening, just there's no meat to it. There's nothing to kind of, I don't know, there's no like staying power for me in your mind. It's kind of like, that hit all the marks that it was supposed to hit to be a superhero movie in the order they're supposed to be. And I'm just, I found myself like, I don't, like, I've already forgotten this. I watched this yesterday and I've already kind of like, it's already starting to seep. If I didn't have this list of this note open, there's a lot of this film I would have just forgotten because it's just kind of like the moment's over. I'm like, that's a scene that happened. This is going, okay, it's done.
Yeah. It's kind of, well, I mean, a lot of it is the fact that there's no, the characters are pretty thinly defined, and there's none of the performances, like with the exception of Alfred, who's great, but like no one, I don't care about anyone in this movie. I don't. Everyone is just like, I'm Commissioner Gordon. This is my job is to, I'm the decent cop. That's all there is to me.
Oh yeah.
We've already gone through how weird Christian Bale's like Bruce Wayne is, and like. Yeah, and everybody just him in general. I just kind of don't care. Yeah. I don't. There's no real compelling because he's got that kind of weird thing for Rachel, but that never really like worked for me because her performance is not great in this movie. But it's also just like their interactions are always so weird and stilted. Yeah, that I'm like,
and she didn't have much to work with either.
No, it's just like, it's not necessarily. It's
I'm the good
fault,
DA.
Yeah.
And then there's I'm the smart guy.
Yeah.
That's
or I guess Lucius Fox. I don't necessarily understand all his motivations, but it's Morgan Freeman, and who doesn't like Morgan Freeman?
Yeah. See, I think that's almost unfair, just because he's so likable that it's like it's almost cheating because you get tricked because it's like really there's not much there, but it's fuck, it's Morgan Freeman.
When he's got that kind of like I got this kind of annoying voice, you're like, of course you do. You are Morgan Freeman.
Is it Rutger Hauer that was? It
is Rutger Hauer.
Yeah, I get him confused with that other guy. Let's not try to figure out who the other guy is. But
Howard Rutger.
Yes, exactly.
Wingshauser.
Maybe Wingshauser. He's got a similar name, but even his character, like if it wasn't him, boy, I would notice that there's a lot of nothing going on there. But since it's him, it's like, hey, cool, it's Rutger Hauer. Yeah, I like watching him.
He is a bad corporate man. That's all you need to know.
Well, he's a bad guy that likes doing bad things.
Sure.
Okay, so. That was Batman Begins. Let's do, for next episode, we were going to do the 1997 American science fiction action horror film directed by Jean-Pierre Jeunet and written by Joss Whedon, the fourth installment in the Alien film series. That's right. Alien, Resurrection. I was actually trying to do that exactly like Paul Scheer from How Did This Get Made?
Oh, that's good. Yes. Let's get as close to that podcast.
Well, I mean, here's the thing, John. I think... I kind of want to just put that on the table. Like, we're not unaware that show exists.
We owe it to our 3 listeners to have vastly new and original content.
Well, that's the thing is, one, they're not the first people to ever watch movies and comment. It's not the first one ever because that show isn't called.
As far as no one has seen a movie before this podcast.
MST3K.
I don't even know what that is.
Yes, I do. I don't either.
I don't have a full back tattoo of that. But
what's here's the thing is I know you pretty well. I've never seen you with your shirt off. I'm not saying you would do it, but you probably could have talked me into the fact that you actually do have a full back tattoo of the silhouettes from the show. Like,
sure.
I would have a hard time believing it, but I'm pretty sure you could have talked me into it.
No, my full back tattoo is the painting from the end of Ghostbusters 2. That is my full back.
He is Vigo.
No, it's them. It's them with the baby after they defeat Vigo.
Oscar.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, Alien Resurrection.
Alien Resurrection. One of us likes it. One of us doesn't.
Yeah, it's from memory. And keep in mind, the last time I saw this movie was in 1997.
Right. Yeah.
No, I think I've seen it since then. But yeah, I recall it fondly, and John does not. So I think that's going to be interesting to revisit because, frankly, it's written by Joss Whedon, so I'm immediately prejudiced towards liking it.
Yeah.
But also,
whereas I am not.
But I liked it in 1997, which makes me think, oh, this might be really bad because I was 17 and I liked a lot of really shitty stuff back then. I mean, I still like a lot of shitty stuff, just different shitty stuff.
Just more adult shitty stuff.
Yeah.
If you have any suggestions for movies you'd like to hear us do, go ahead and hit us up. We'll do whatever.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah, so if you have suggestions, I'm at the Alexx Cast, Alex with 2 X's.
I'm at JCM5000 for now, anyway. Yeah, just hit us up on Twitter if you have any suggestions at all of anything to watch or things you'd like us to do to ourselves after listening to this one.
Yes. And
we will take any interaction of any kind.
Theoretically, you can search on Facebook for John and Alex Hate Stuff. I made a page. I just haven't actually done anything with it yet.
Hey, look at that.
Just because that's an easy place to make announcements and stuff. If because basically, I think the fun of the show is actually watching the films before you listen to the episode to kind of play along with us and whatever. I think it's fun. But I mean, I think it's important to start this first one with a movie that pretty much everybody's seen. Like it's not we're not watching some obscure ass weird thing.
Right.
So but in future, I think that's the obviously you don't have to watch it, but I think that's the
it's more fun.
That's what we're urging our legion of fans or fans of Legion actually. Yeah. I think that's it. Oh, one last thing on Batman note. Just because you're in the room with me and you know my theory that Gotham is the prequel to Batman 66.
Yes.
Edward Nygma's cell phone now rings with the stinger noise that they used to do in between vignettes on the Batman 66 show.
Yep.
So the Riddler actually has the ringtone.
Yeah.
That's a modification of it. Fucking called it. And this is like 2 years ago I called this. Like this is an old theory. Yeah.
That show is more fun than this movie.
That show is so great. But yeah, all right, so that's it. Thank you for listening to the inaugural episode of John and Alex Hate Stuff.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.